Can a horror movie about religion be non-blasphemous?
Is this movie blasphemous?
Can you spell blasphemous?
All this and more on Gory Storytime.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Storytime. I'm your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and his father, Craig. And this week, quickly, let me answer those questions. Yes, not really, and well, can you?
BLASPHMOS?
No, EMOUS.
EMOUS. All right.
So I guess
The answer was
no. But can you, now that I've said it and you can go back and memorize it? Anyway, this week we haven't picked a series of 4, and we very recently did 4 religious horror movies, so this isn't like we're starting that again. But just randomly
we came across a couple of
someone
religious
gave me a
movies
copy of this movie, and I figured, well, let's watch it and review it.
Yeah.
Anywho, the basic premise is a woman who knows nothing about religion gets wounds on her wrists where they just start bleeding, and she was found and brought to a hospital, and they think she tried to hurt herself, and she's like, I didn't. But other wounds start appearing on her too, and they are similar to the wounds of Christ on the cross.
Yes.
The 5 places are
The
bleeding from the forehead, from the crown, the wrists, the feet, whip marks on her back, and then the
spear wound on the side.
Yes, those are the 5 that are considered stigmata.
Yes.
And because she's not a religious person,
it baffles the Catholic Church.
Yes, because up until that point, the only examples they had heard of were deeply devout people.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the basic premise, and there's more to it than that, obviously, but that's the basic part.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you think we should say and then about the basic story?
Not really.
All right, so why don't we roll the trailer and let you see what the heck we're talking about.
Deep laceration here. Both wounds are identical, the same size, same shape.
You think I did this?
What's happening in your life, Frankie?
It is some sort of attack. Wrists are bandaged.
We're investigating this one.
Miss Page, I travel around the world investigating miracles.
Do you know what the stigmata are?
5 wounds. His back scourged by whips. There were nails driven through his hands and feet. Only deeply devout people have been afflicted with these wounds. Which church do you attend?
I don't go to church.
All stigmatics suffer the most intense demonic attacks.
I wrote that.
It's a form of Aramaic that hasn't been used for 1900 years.
Problem is what it says. It was written entirely in the language of Jesus, written in the first person.
There are some in the Vatican who believe that this could destroy the church.
You have no idea who you're dealing with.
Who are you?
Il messaggero non è importante.
This is a warning. I can't escape this.
You lied to me! You tried to silence her! If she receives another wound, she's going to die. Take me. Let me be your messenger.
How's your faith these days, Father? How's your faith these days?
All right.
That showed an awful lot, but I guess it was out of context enough.
I mean, they have to show enough to make people interested, right? Of course, I told you the basic idea, and
You were like,
I'm interested.
Stigmata, the real life thing is this, and I was like, I'm in.
Right. Now, before we get too far into this, I gotta give this little disclaimer that I always do. This next part here is why we're really here.
Oh, yeah.
We do love our horror movies, but that's not why we do a horror movie review show, silly people. See, we do it because they pay us lots and lots of money to sell lots and lots of things. And we're so good at it that every week different companies come to
Yeah.
us begging us
New
to
companies.
pimp out their stuff. And no one ever comes back. That's the weird part.
It is weird. It is.
But we're still good enough to get the new clients every week. No, they back up big old Brinks trucks full of money, and we come on here and sell their products, and then ostensibly talk about horror around making money.
But it's all about the money.
It's all about the penniums. Oh, I mean Benjamins. Weird Al reference.
I know.
Anyway, this week, the commercials that we are selling you, the things we are selling you are, let's see. Gory Story Time is brought to you by the Personalized Bible. Are you sick and tired of going to church and being told you're a sinner? Fill out our quiz about the things you don't like that are in the Bible, and we'll remove those offensive parts that make you feel bad. Love to get high and drunk? We'll take out the lines about drunkenness. Gone. Sleeping with people out of wedlock? Those passages? Missing. You tell us, and we will fix the Word of God tailored to your needs. The Personalized Bible, available at favoritesins.com.
And by Faithful Food, the 100% faith-based restaurant. Come in for our lunch and dinner specials, the gazpacho of Mark, Man-Witch from Heaven, and the gold Frankfurter's mustard, the loaves and the fish sticks.
Okay, wow. There's commas. You
I see
pause.
that there's commas.
So, the gazpacho of Mark.
Yes. Man-Witch from Heaven.
Pause.
Gold Frankfurters.
and mustard. Pause. Now.
The
It's not-
loaves and the fish
But
sticks.
you said gold Frankfurters and the fishes and loaves and the, it's like, no, that's not
Jeez,
one thing.
The loaves and the fish sticks, a meal, 5 buttered rolls, and 2 large orders of fish sticks for the table to share. For dessert, try our baked I forget the word now.
Oh my God. Arapka.
Arapka.
Baked Arapka. Come on.
Okay. Don't forget our Sunday morning disciple buffet with enough food for you and 12 companions. Every Thursday is Ladies Night with half off Bloody Virgin Marys. Not a virgin drink, it does have alcohol. That's Faithful Food. After trying our heavenly offerings, it won't be your last supper with us.
All right. And that was way better if you didn't screw up the way you read it. The loaves and the fish sticks. Come on.
Yeah, well, if you hadn't cut me off, it would have sounded
Anyway,
better.
let's get into the
Meat and beef of the show.
behind the scenes information. So, start.
Yes. The phrase, split a piece of wood, I am there, lift up the stone, and you will find me there, comes from the Gospel of Thomas.
Which is not an accepted gospel by most versions of Christianity.
Especially the ones that read the book.
That said, there's not going to be any more
After.
until
The end.
second coming.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was not written in Aramaic, as they claim in the movie, which is one of the facts.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, it was not written by Jesus, which is the claim made in the film, and by a lot of people that do accept it. But it was 200 years after he had died and rose, and no.
Right.
Anyway, the Gospel of Thomas is a historical document some believe are the actual words of Jesus to his disciples. However, the real-life document was written in Coptic, an ancient Egyptian language based on the Greek alphabet, not Aramaic, as the movie states. So I was blowing up my own fact.
Yes.
Next.
When Father Kiernan comes in the Vatican office to get his new assignment, audience can hear a bit of Italian speaking in the back between Cardinal Daniel Hausman and another priest. Translation, rest assured, none of this will ever leave this room.
Patricia Arquette's character is named Frankie, short for Francis, similar to the name of the saint, Francis, whom we're told by Gabriel Byrne's character was the first to receive stigmata.
The Aramaic Frankie writes on the wall is actually ancient Hebrew because Rupert Wainwright thought it looked more intriguing.
And he knew that most people watching it wouldn't know what...
And they probably wouldn't go and check.
Well, and they probably wouldn't know ancient Hebrew versus
Ancient
Aramaic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It was a safe
In
bet.
the subway scene, Patricia Arquette and Nia Long were the only people that were not stunt people.
Oh, wow. During the final scene in the garden, the statue in the background of St. Francis of Assisi,
Yep.
the first person to bear the marks of the stigmata in history, and who was mentioned by Andrew Kieran, who meets Frankie by first time.
When that
he
was
meets
poorly written by whoever wrote that.
I read it correctly.
Yes, it was
Yikes.
poorly written. When we see inserts of the crucifixion, while Frankie has her first attack of stigmata, the arms being nailed are rubber arms, and the wires that make there's wires that make the fingers slightly move.
Okay. That's why it looked so good then. Ironically, Gabriel Byrne, who plays a priest in this, played Satan in End of Days the same year.
Yeah, that's the one that has Schwarzenegger, I think, which you should watch that too. It's actually not bad. The producer, but I don't think it's a horror movie. It's an action. Where were we? The producers and director Rupert Wainwright originally were thinking of calling the film St. Francis of Pittsburgh. That would have came across as more
That's
blasphemous,
yeah, I
kind
don't
of.
think I like that one. The subway scene was shot on a fake train carriageway, the same one used sometimes in Seinfeld. What's the deal with stigmata?
Oh, boy. That was awful on many levels. Patricia Arquette was Rupert Wainwright's first choice to play Frankie. He said, as she was the 800th person to... No.
When discussing the 5 stigmata, Frankie refers to the spear in Jesus' side as the one that kills him. However, the spear was used to be certain that he was already dead.
And none of them killed him.
Yeah,
he
allowed
decided when
himself
he
to be
died.
dead.
And
was
we're
like-
just repeating what the Bible actually states. It actually says that, he decided it is done.
It is accomplished.
Yes. Anyway, when Frankie tells Andrew that she's from Naples, he says in Italian, La città più bella del mondo, which means in English, the most beautiful city in the world. She then tells him Naples, Florida.
The body of...
So a fact was, here's a quote from the movie.
Well, it's a translation of what the quote said.
Anyway.
The body of Almeida in the coffin actually was a wax dummy made in Los Angeles and shipped to the filming location.
The Gospel of Thomas is by the Gnostic denomination, which was founded in 125 AD and became virtually non-existent after around 1400 AD due to lack of membership. What? People didn't want to follow the one that had extra books that the Bible said not to accept any future books? Weird.
In the original script, the story centered around a male 2 artist. This was later changed due to unknown reasons.
Because Patricia Arquette, as good as an
not
actress as
a
she
male?
is, cannot play a male tattoo artist. She's not that good. Anyway, when Frankie talks with Andrew the first time in the coffee shop, Frankie states that she's 23 years old. Patricia Arquette was 31 during the premiere, 8 years older than her character. So,
all right.
People play different ages all the time.
The house Frankie Page is taken to towards the end of the film is the Filoli mansion located 40 kilometers south of San Francisco. The game also features the mansion, and both movies show very similar shots of its front entrance.
Gabriel Byrne was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Supporting Actor for his performance in both this film and End of Days, where he lost to Ahmed Best as Jar Jar Binks in episode 1.
Ouch. To all of that.
Well, yeah, but critics tend to not like religious things.
And they don't like
and we'll
horror
get to that.
movies.
Yeah, true.
Andrew Kiernan is from Rome, Italy, and speaks fluent Italian. In real life, Gabriel Byrne is actually Irish.
To anyone who's ever tried or even fed birds, trained or fed birds, it's obvious the doves flying into Frankie Page's hands are eating from her palms.
Oh, yeah. Patricia Arquette and Portia de Rossi.
Portia de Rossi, the woman that married Ellen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Have both worked with Wes Craven. Arquette on A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, and de Rossi on Scream 2, which also featured Patricia's brother, David Arquette, and the movie Cursed.
The film is supposedly set in Pittsburgh. However, various panning shots show Eastern Columbia building from downtown Los Angeles. This is the same building seen in Predator 2, which takes place in Los Angeles, so it actually makes sense there.
It's okay. During the subway scene, the footage from Money Train. There's footage from Money Train during the climax of that movie.
Parapsychologist / anomalist Christopher Chacon was a technical advisor to Rupert Wainwright for filming of Stigmata. Chacon had also been utilized by the studio in the publicity campaign to talk about phenomena depicted in the movie and how it compares to the actual cases of Stigmata he investigated around the world.
And then Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, and for those who don't watch the show on a regular basis and don't know, Rotten Tomatoes is just where they take all professional reviewers that they accept, and they take the percentages, how many are positive or negative reviews. So the number is the amount of positive reviews. I like to give the people's number because the people's number is usually a little more accurate, especially when it comes to horror and comedy.
And as we were saying before, religious movies.
63% of the people, 63% liked this movie and gave it a positive.
And 22% of the critics gave this movie a positive review.
And it's not because the acting is bad. It's not because the story is bad. Honestly, I think it has to do with an anti-religious, anti-horror, more anti-religious. Yeah, I think it would, which is weird, though, because it kind of goes after the Catholic Church a lot.
Oh, yeah, big time.
But you would think that the critics would have been down
cool
with that.
But then it would have been admitting to the other part of the whole thing, which is the Stigmata part.
Right. Well, no, because they would just, like any fictional movie, because this isn't a true story. Well, it's not.
Right.
Anyway, what was your favorite scene of this movie?
I'm going to have to go with the just overall the special effects in this movie.
Okay.
Because they're great. Like, having read that it was a rubber arm doesn't make the shots of the
crucifixion
spike go through the wrist look any less horrifying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, digital effects are the ones that I usually pick out as being more hokey.
And this movie does a lot with practical.
I mean, there definitely had some CG stuff, but
obviously
they kept it.
Had to.
They kept it to just what they couldn't do practical is what it looks like. That's my...
And if not, they did some really good CG for 1999.
True. Very well possibly could be that too. But I will say, man, it looked good.
It looked real.
My favorite part, because partially due to it looking so real, is in the subway scene when Patricia Arquette's character of Frankie gets the whip marks on her back. Because it was seen by a priest and everyone else on the train that like these whip marks were appearing, tearing through her clothing and cutting through her skin while she was, hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
And in the story, she was accused of being suicidal the first time with the hands
being on her
or the wrists. So this made it clear that she wasn't doing this to herself. Because
oh my goodness.
For that to happen would be impossible.
Why the hell would she do that to herself? First of all.
Right. But if someone's suicidal...
I love her reaction, though. She was like, what? Me?
She's
do
like,
that? I love being me.
Absolutely. What was your least favorite? And I think we kind of see eye to eye on this one.
Which is, this movie goes along with what many other movies do, perpetuating the lie that all Christians are Catholic. Now, yes, all Catholics are Christian.
I mean,
but
it is...
not all Christians are Catholic.
Yeah, it is definitely considered one of the major religions, and it is a major chunk of Christians. But there's Baptists, Episcopals,
there's the Protestants.
I mean, there's so many different ones. I mean, there's snake handlers that consider themselves Christians down south.
I know.
You know what I mean? So the fact that the vast majority of the time,
when a horror
movie or even most mainstream movies,
if they have a God aspect in it,
they tend to have
Catholic.
priests, not Catholic priests, not preachers
or pastors
or reverends.
Right.
Like they go, it's like they assume. And most of the attacks in this movie on religion were not an attack on religion. It was specifically the Catholic Church. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but if you're a Catholic and you don't want to see that, then I wouldn't recommend it.
Then this ain't a movie for you.
Right. But it definitely takes shots at the
Catholic
covering
Church
up of things
and
by
the covering
Catholic
up of
leaders.
Things. Exactly.
That being said, it was a really
great
good
movie.
Yeah.
We got to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Is that what you're about to say?
I was, but I just didn't want to say it at the same time.
All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this movie?
Honestly, I'm gonna go 8. I would go a little higher. It's a good quality movie. I think the acting is good. The special effects are great, like you were saying. The problem that keeps it from getting higher is it is a horror movie. It's not really that scary.
We are not the right people to say if something is scary or not, though, because we don't get scared by horror movies anymore, Dad.
Okay, true. But even when I saw this, when it came out in 99, 22 years ago.
Right, you had already been desensitized by,
I know,
by gore.
I don't know anyone that watched this and was like scared by it.
Wow.
There are, atheists that would be offended by the topic. But they probably wouldn't watch
There's
it.
Christians that would be offended by
it because they would, especially Catholics, because it attacks the Catholic Church. Absolutely.
Right. I'm gonna go 8.5.
All right.
Yeah, the only reason that it's not higher, it relies too heavily on the Gospel of Thomas, in my opinion, considering the Gospel of Thomas is bogus.
I mean, that's the opinion of most major Christian religions.
Right. So it's like, if they had gone with, I don't know, something from the Bible.
Something from the parts of the Bible
because
that everyone agrees are real.
Because Stigmata isn't directly connected to the Gospel of Thomas.
They literally kept saying, well, this is something that only people that figure out this part will get. And it's basically saying, you're the real people that'll get saved. It's like, well,
it's not how that works.
Jesus didn't then undo stuff he said in the Bible. Like that doesn't make sense. Because that would mean he lied the first time when he said something different.
Which would be a sin, which means he's not the Son of God.
Which means he could, right, like...
Oh my goodness.
But that's just not really the
Yeah.
discussion we're having.
No.
So I said 8, you said 8.5, and I guess all that's really left to do is all the stuff that's usually over here. Yeah. look at
Yes, so you can watch the show on Fact TV channel 1076 Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 p.m.
You can like us on Facebook, and like I say every week, liking us means our Gory Storytime page, which there's quite a few people have done, and I appreciate it. You can also like Fact TV's page, and then while we're in on a Friday, you get to see it live streamed if you want to and you have
Dang
time.
right.
You know, so anyone that's watching, hey, I know that
Anyone
that
who's
happens
not
sometimes.
watching, hello.
Yeah, anyone not watching us, how do you know what I'm saying?
Telepathy.
Anyway, next.
You can like us on Facebook.
I did that one.
He did that one. You can go to factdate.com.
You can.
He did not do that one.
And what goes there?
Episodes of this show, episodes of other shows, all the stuff that they do on this channel goes
Other
up.
stuff we did.
Just go up on their website and you could watch just all the
If you
great
love
content
this
that they
area,
make.
there is a lot of content that is made by local people.
There's a lot, like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of which actually is religious, since we're on that
That's
topic.
also true.
This episode, yeah.
You know, if you want to hear religion that's not filtered through fiction horror movies, then look at those shows. But anyway, then you can also check us out on the Twitter. I'm at Craig Jakes, all lowercase, all one word. And you
Are Jiggly Firm Brain. I tweet the horrible things that he says, or regular things that he says, just things that he says.
things in context, things
Out of
out of context.
context.
It doesn't matter.
Just
If he finds it funny,
things.
tweet.
Tweet. Exactly.
And that's about it, right? Oh, and you can look up Gory Storytime on YouTube
It could bring you to his channel
or to
their
Fact TV's channel and subscribe to both. Hey.
And lastly, if you get you a chance or an ability to watch this movie, I am highly, highly recommending it.
Yes.
That is what I'll
and
say.
if you're Catholic, definitely, if you don't
You
want to
will
hear
probably
an
not
attack
like
of the
it
church,
because it's an attack on your church personally.
specifically, yeah. So, just forewarning. And that's
Yeah,
about it, right?
But otherwise, I've been your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and his father, Craig,
And sweet dreams.